The explosion didn't sound like thunder. It sounded like the world tearing itself in half. Glass rained down like knives, fire bloomed in the street, and in the middle of the chaos, she froze. Amelia Hart, CEO of one of the fastest-growing tech companies in the country, stood beside her black sedan in a red dress meant for a charity gala, not for running through smoke and screams. Her ears rang. Her lungs burned. And for the first time in her carefully controlled life, she didn't know what to do. That was when a hand grabbed her arm. "Move. Now." The voice was rough, urgent, unfamiliar. Before she could protest, she was pulled away as another blast tore through the cars behind them. Heat brushed her back. The men shoved her behind an overturned vehicle and covered her with his body as debris slammed into metal inches away. For a moment, the world narrowed to breath and heartbeat. When the noise faded into sirens and shouting, the man lifted his head. He was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing worn jeans and a flannel shirt. His face was smudged with soot, his eyes sharp and focused. "You hurt?" he asked. She shook her head, too stunned to speak. "Good." He stood, scanning the street. "Emergency crews are coming. Stay here." "Wait," she said, finding her voice as he turned away. "My name is Amelia. You saved my life. What's your name?" He hesitated for half a second, then shook his head. "Doesn't matter." And then he disappeared into the crowd of panicked strangers, blending in as if he had never been there at all. That night, as Amelia lay awake in a private hospital room, that unanswered question echoed louder than the explosion. Who saves someone's life and walks away without a word? The man's name was Daniel Reed, and by the time Amelia saw him again, weeks had passed. Daniel's world was quieter, smaller, and heavier in ways Amelia had never known. He was a single father to an 8-year-old boy named Noah, a child with curious eyes and a laugh that came easily despite the shadows in their life. Daniel worked 2 jobs, one as a warehouse supervisor by day, another driving delivery at night. Every decision he made ran through one filter: will this protect my son? The night of the explosion, Daniel hadn't been brave. He had been practical. He had seen danger, reacted, and moved on. Heroes, he believed, didn't exist. Just people doing what had to be done. But Amelia couldn't move on. She ordered internal investigations, scoured security footage, and even hired a private firm, all to find the men who vanished. Not to reward him. Not to publicize him. But to understand him. In a life filled with applause and headlines, his silence unsettled her more than any criticism ever had. Their paths crossed again in the most ordinary place imaginable. The school cafeteria smelled of disinfectant and overcooked pasta. Amelia sat stiffly on a child-sized chair during a parent volunteer meeting she had impulsively decided to attend after funding a local school program. She was out of place in her tailored blazer, surrounded by tired parents and noisy children. Then she saw him. Daniel stood near the back, listening quietly, Noah clinging to his hand. The same eyes. The same steady presence. No doubt in her mind. After the meeting, she approached him. "You saved my life," she said softly. Daniel's shoulders tensed. He turned, recognition flickering across his face, followed quickly by discomfort. "You shouldn't be here. I wanted to thank you." "You're doing fine without me," he replied. "That night is over." "It's not over for me," she said. "You ran toward danger when everyone else ran away." Daniel looked down at Noah, then back at her. "I ran because my son was watching. That's all." That was the beginning of something neither of them had planned. They met for coffee, then again. Amelia learned about late bills, packed lunches, and bedtime stories. Daniel learned about boardroom battles, loneliness behind success, and the quiet pressure of being admired but never truly known. Their challenges were different, but equally heavy. Amelia struggled to trust. Every relationship in her life had come with expectations, motives, or transactions. Daniel struggled with pride. He hated feeling like charity, hated the imbalance between their worlds. When Amelia offered to help with Noah's medical expenses after learning about his asthma, Daniel refused. The argument that followed was their first real fracture. "I don't need saving," he said. "I know," she replied, tears in her eyes. "I just want to stand with you." They spent weeks apart after that. Amelia threw herself into work. Daniel focused on surviving. But the silence hurt more than the conflict. The turning point came unexpectedly. Noah collapsed during a school field trip. Daniel arrived at the hospital shaking, exhausted, terrified. Amelia was there before he even called her, having been notified through the school board she funded. She didn't speak. She didn't offer solutions. She just sat beside him, holding his hand while machines beeped and time stretched thin. That was when Daniel finally understood. Strength wasn't refusing help. Strength was knowing when to accept it. Months later, at a small community fundraiser, Amelia took the stage. Cameras flashed. Applause filled the room. She spoke about resilience, about unseen heroes, about people who change lives without ever asking for recognition. In the crowd, Daniel stood with Noah on his shoulders. When their eyes met, Amelia smiled, not as a CEO, not as a public figure, but as a woman who had been saved twice. Once from fire, and once from loneliness. Daniel never faded into the crowd again. He didn't need to. Because sometimes, the most powerful stories aren't about grand gestures or headlines. They're about ordinary people choosing courage, humility, and love, even when no one is watching. And sometimes, the ones who save us don't arrive to stay in our lives forever. They arrive to remind us that we are worth saving, and that we don't have to face the world alone.